full disclosure, I remember a long time ago, I think before you moved to Europe for a spell, we had coffee. We were talking about just like the business, and I remember like having the conversation, like, yeah, send me your stuff. And I literally was just like, huh, Gus is usually like on like more proactive about like always sending me stuff. And I just didn't think anything of it. And then I found in my promotions tab that I've been ghosting the give take label for like 3 years. And I'm like, no, I felt so bad. Like I wasn't ignoring you. So like I found a cache of stuff, but now I don't know what's even current anymore. So like what are you currently working on / in? Because I know the pandemic threw everything out of whack, but also you've been kind of releasing stuff under a few different monikers with a few different things. So what do you have on the books right now?
Well,
the single on the 11th, right? And then what else?
Yeah, so it's weird, and this is the most common thing that I hear is just like, so what are you doing? I know you're in a lot. But what is, like, I know that it's a lot. So I have three bands three projects that I do. Bijou Noir, which is what we're here talking about.
Yes.
This is kind of like electropop singer-songwriter kind of stuff. This is what kind of had grown out of what I was doing with this was renamed what I was doing in Minneapolis with ACTN. I just renamed it because that was not a good name.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. And so I have Tulip Tiger, which is just sort of like really just, I call it like insouciant big beat. It's just like me really just trying a lot less, like
yeah. And that so like I think the reason I'm asking is because like I kind of got it like a fire hose. Like I got it all at once. So I'm just like, oh no, what should I talk about? Like what's old news, what's new news? Because like you had the award-winning Redemption arc. Was that Tulip Tiger?
That was a Tulip Tiger.
Was that pre-2020? Was that 2019?
No, I did that. I did that in 2020. I actually when I moved to, well, we came to LA. I wasn't trying to move to LA. We were just visiting, and then we got stuck here. And so I went to the desert, bought a car, and it ended up having a really good like factory stereo. It's a 30-year-old car, but it has just a killer stereo system in it. And so I was in a sublease in Hollywood, and just no real, no studio to speak of. And so I ended up using that car to mix and produce the record.
Ooh, stand by. We're going to go on the air here.
All right.
Ooh, okay. So St. Vincent just ended right there. We had Spoon, They Want My Soul, and Hans Zimmer to start things off, just to set the mood. So if you're just tuning in right in the middle of the conversation, I know a lot of people follow us on Twitch or Facebook and try to listen to the show. So we're just in the middle of a conversation, but if you're just tuning in, this is Desert Islands, and I'm talking to Bijou Noir live. So if you want to play at home and watch both, please don't do it while you're driving, because the video is archived and you can watch it later. Please be safe. But if you are safe at home, yes, you can watch us and join in on the fun. Gus, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming. I'm really excited to talk to you because you're working on a lot. I think we were just talking about how a project you were working on with Tulip Tiger kind of came to fruition when you were moving to LA, and you're releasing a single in 2 days. So when did you move to LA? Because
I never moved to LA. It's true that I live in LA now, and the whole plan, I was living in Prague, and the whole plan was it was in February of last year, and the whole plan was just to drop in, maybe get a little sun during the winter. It's dark out there in the winter, so we thought, like, let's be clever and let's get a little bit of a little sun in the winter. And then the 2020 had other plans for us, and so we were in a sublease with a Greek woman. She stayed in Greece. We stayed in her sublease, and then we had some college students who were subleasing our apartment in Prague. So then,
Right.
So they stayed in our place. So everybody just extended their subleases, and we all just lived in each other's houses for an extra couple months. And then one thing led to another, and now I live here.
I love the idea of like, oh, I never intended on moving to LA. Like it just happened because like that is a story I've heard happen to, believe it or not, several of my friends were like, oh, I'm never moving to LA. Really? Because I saw on Facebook it says you live in LA. Yeah. I don't know how that happened. It's one of those areas that like I've heard a lot of people were like, yeah, we were just going out to cut a record, and then I don't know, it's been 6 months. I think I'm staying for the whole year.
That's it.
Okay, so have you been releasing a single every month or every week with Bijou Noir?
Week sounds like something I would do, but it is month. It is month. Okay. Yeah, been doing these Bijou Noir singles monthly.
So I was originally gonna play an older one, but I thought it would be more fun to play the one that isn't out yet. So we're gonna hear from that a little bit later. But if you're just tuning in, this is Bijou Noir on Desert Islands, and this is the show where I make mixtapes based on my guests' 10 records they bring to a desert island, and that's what we are listening to today. So we're going to chat about new music and new projects, but we're also going to hear some David Bowie here on KFAI. Stick around. Uh-oh. Maybe we're not going to hear David Bowie. What's going on?
Oh, man.
Oh, community radio. Isn't it fun? It's the best. It's the greatest. All right. Well, I'm going to figure out how we can get this David Bowie going somewhere else. But in the meantime, let's talk about your new single. So the soundscapes are kind of like, there's a lot of electro pop in here, and the single I just heard has like a bit of a different, like, ethereal, earthier vibe. Is this going to be like an entire album at the end of the year, or are you trying to deliberately change paths and directions with these singles, or are they all tied together in somewhat of a sonic narrative, or like actual narrative within the lyrics?
Yeah, there's definitely a sonic and a lyrical narrative for sure. This is kind of all the stuff that I wrote. This is all the stuff that I wrote after I left Minneapolis, where I lived for 10 years when I left and lived in Europe. And this is like the 2016 through 2020, which is like, there's like a lot going on in a lot of places. And moving is a heady time anyway, let alone moving, across cultures and everything we did. So there is a narrative. There is, so there's a bunch of these songs that are going to come out, and they do tie in. As far as just the format, the question of format, it's a good question, Doc, but I don't know. It's fine not to know. Like I appreciate creatives who definitely where it's just like, no, this is just what I'm feeling, and the narrative itself is taking the music there. And sometimes it's vice versa. Like I've done that a lot, where it's like, what do the lyrics mean? Like I don't know, I just really appreciated this melody. I'm not quite sure. All right, let's try this and see if it works, because apparently my laptop decided to be a toddler today. Cool.
Yes. Okay, my phone works.
Is that what you did?
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened. I usually control this whole thing from my laptop. Like, I just kind of have the playlist lined up, and then like, because sometimes the conversation gets away from me, and we end up like going on a thread where it's just like, oh right, we're on the radio, we should probably play music, and you just kind of press it, and then if there's not time to get to the whole mixtape, it's all a Spotify playlist that, you know, people can share and subscribe to and all that fun stuff. Because that's I found when I first started doing this show, most people were either listening from somewhere else or they were listening later. So putting it on a playlist just kind of made sense to be like, oh, okay, like, so what was on the show? So now we're using my phone. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, I have no idea what happened there because it was working fine, and then I just pressed the button and it was like nothing. Wow. And then crackle. Okay. So I don't know. The thing's ancient. I should probably get a new one anyway.
Do you have a like a link? This is on Twitch or whatever. I can share this out.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can't bring up the. Okay, we're on Twitch. I believe it's KFAI FM Radio. That's our Twitch handle.
Okay.
FM
Radio.
And I am guilty of this. I am terrible at keeping up with our Twitch audience. Like I am kind of like I press this button and it just sends it everywhere. Yeah. And we get comments. That's the like worst part about it. And sometimes I see it and sometimes I don't. So if there is people on Twitch going like dragging me, I would not know. But yeah, we are on Twitch.
All right.
I'm gonna post some links. It's kind of been a trial by fire platform for me. Here, let me see if I can't. Send something here. I think, okay. Let me see if I can't find us on Twitch.
Oh, you know what? I have a Twitch TV, so I'll just get it. Okay. I'll keep the chat open in case anyone drops in. Love it.
Okay. Hold on. All right. So now I gotta find. Okay, no, that's good. Where's the destination? Yeah, that's fine. Come on. I don't want to bother Mason because he has a lot on his plate, but I might have to bother Mason. I'll just send him a quick chat. How do I find the Twitch link?
I mean, just the link to the stream?
Yeah, I have like Facebook, it like appears right there, and then YouTube, it just kind of appears as a live video. But I just tried to go to our Twitch channel, and it looks like it does like individual videos for every single thing, where like all the other things are just like, oh yeah, it just gets piped into the thing. So like we should be live on it.
Yeah. I just sent it. I sent you the link that
there we go. You found it. You found it. We should be live. I can't do that, or it's going to turn into the infinite feedback loop where it's just us over and over. Good due diligence on that. Yeah, I am showing my age here on Twitch because it's a platform I think is really cool, and I actually watch a lot of people on it, but I lurk on it. I like don't participate. I don't. I've thought about starting a thing, but I don't know. I'm torn on it. Like I'm just like I don't want to create content for the sake of content, but I also like the fact that these tools can kind of create candid, intimate moments where it's just like, hey, this is a quick live performance. Like here, it's just like a quick takeaway. And I do like the fact that like you can do a whole show on Twitch if you wanted, and it's honestly a much better platform for interacting with people. But like it seems like big tech is trying to squash its presence in their algorithm. Like it's much harder to build a following from scratch.
I heard that. it's like the discoverability they say is really high with Twitch, where it's like,
Yes.
and we found that because we did some shows, we did some live stream shows,
Yeah.
concerts with Give Take, and people would come in and they'd drop in and just see what's up, but like they don't that same discoverability also leads to like it's easy for people to drift in, check you out, and go, nah, okay,
Yes.
cool. Now I'm gonna watch someone else go play a video game or whatever.
Yeah, and I
Keeps people
actually
on Twitch, but
discovered
it doesn't keep them with you necessarily.
Yeah, I discovered it kind of when people would do like Let's Plays on video games, which is like oddly soothing.
Yeah.
Because I don't I when I was a teenager, I used to be kind of an avid gamer, and now I don't know. I like video games got expensive, and after a while, when I was a teenager, I was like, I should save up to buy a base. I should save. I just kind of got there. So like I found it kind of soothing to watch other people play video games, and then other people, musicians, started doing Let's Plays with like their favorite albums. Like they were just like, hey, I'm gonna do like Ramshackle Glory's album from start to finish. We're like, oh, like I'm gonna be just riffing on Kind of Blue. I was like, oh, that's cool. Of just like it just so it's kind of fun to watch people just like this never-ending fractal of like people always pushing it somewhere else and new direction, but never trying to one up each other. Just like, hey, here's my thing. Thanks for coming to my channel. Like it just felt more real. Than the other streaming services.
Yeah, we've had some good community moments on there.
Yeah. How many shows have you done on the platform?
We did like two concert series, so probably
cool.
whatever that was, like 10, 12 shows.
Sure. How long? So how does the time work on Twitch? Because sometimes I'll discover a stream like on Reddit, and like people were like, oh, you like so and so awarded you like 5 more minutes, and I'm just like, whoa, what's that about?
No, I don't know anything about that. So this is where like the features of Twitch, like I like this like live streaming, I get. But like once the features of Twitch and the stickers and like what however they're the bits and however they're monetizing, like I can feel gray hairs growing on my head and in my beard as I try to understand those features.
Yes, can you speak up, Sonny?
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I don't think it's something I'd be incapable of learning, but there's also like. I also want to learn how to play guitar better. I also want to learn how to. I
have a saying: you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it, and that's a lesson I think I've learned the hard way several times of just biting off too much, and then you kind of create problems for other people in your life when you don't deliver on that. Like it's way better to just like kind of like if you're going to do a bunch of stuff, draw a line somewhere.
God,
there's a point where I was like in 5 or 6 bands, and I was just like, what? That's just my own ego talking at that point.
How many projects do you have going on right now? At least
I only have 2. I only have 2 now. I used to have 4 consistently, but I am just in LPF, and then I have my solo stuff, which I work under They Self. But the thing is, I also so we had Joe Holland on a few weeks ago, and he put it as the dark arts. I've been engaging in the dark arts for years of like either being a roadie, doing tech work, teaching music lessons, consulting, helping do promo, booking. Like I've been kind of, while I was in 4 or 5 bands, I was also doing that. And now I realized it made me a worse teacher. And then when I would show up to the crew gigs, I was like functioning solely on caffeine and dreams. like that, like it's like I wasn't serving anybody. And then I noticed I was getting less work on crew because I wasn't as with it. And then so it's just like, I really dig what we're doing in LPF, and I like I like having a really open-ended blank canvas for a solo project where
Yeah.
it's just like genre is irrelevant. Like I'm gonna bend a lot of genres, and then so I can just focus on the myriad of other hats I wear.
Like a radio show.
Yeah, and well, eventually I noticed like I was being a bad bandmate too, and it's just like you don't want that. Like that's not really helping anybody, and it just got to a point where like I like having the solo thing where I get to do whatever I want, and then I like having the one thing where I'm contributing to something and we're working on it together, and we collectively have a direction, and we get to make something we're proud of, and that's the most fun part of being in a band is like you're like a weird baseball team or something, you know? Like
it's just like a stoned softball team.
That's good. That's an EP title. But that's exactly what it is. Like it just, you know, like win or lose, you're just kind of ride or die, and we're like, we'll get them next time.
Yeah,
you know?
I do miss that. I miss that. Like, I mean, I'm so ready to be in a band again. I'd like to be in one place long enough to be in a band.
That's another thing. Are you going to go back to Prague, or are you going to stay in LA?
Well, we're going to stay in LA at least for now. I went back to Prague and closed up our apartment and turned off our utilities and painted our walls and did all the stuff. And in February, I snuck in, and then so now we're here.
Nice. What is it like closing an apartment on another continent
during a pandemic? It was amazing.
Yeah.
I had to go buy I had to paint a wall. You have to like repaint, put your walls back to white. But one of the things that they did as a pandemic measure was they didn't allow people to buy into the hardware stores, only contractors. To limit the amount of people that would be in a store.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah,
it's just like a way that they made this particular measure. So I had to go find like a black market source of paint, so I could buy. So I had to like find. Fortunately, it was like a kilometer from my house, and I found this place, and you could pay cash, and they would give you paint, and I managed to paint my apartment with black market paint.
That is wild.
Because otherwise, I would have had to call somebody, and they don't. Their contractors are pretty notorious for being pretty unresponsive, and I only had a week and all that, so that was weird. I took so many nasal tests because you had to like test before you leave, test when you get there, test before you leave, test when you get back. I had shit in my nose for a long time.
Oh yeah, it's like I thought the spit test was like a revolution.
Yeah,
because like by the third time it was like the second time I got the nose thing, the first one was so jarring that like I don't know, the second time I was just like that's not so bad, you know. But like the third time I was like, all right, there's got to be a better there's got to be a better way to do this, and then we just did the spit ones from there on out, and I don't know, it's such a weird thing because the pandemic shed light on the fact that we need the arts and community now more than ever. But it also, now that it's coming back, as someone who kind of sees the industry from multiple angles, the pandemic definitely pointed out a lot of problematic things about the mechanism that comes from doing this, where it's just like, now that we're coming out of it, like we kind of have a choice on how we get to handle it.
Yeah.
And there are certain aspects of the game I enjoy playing. Like I like connecting things and playing that air traffic control thing. Like I love curating. I love curating festivals. I love curating shows. I love especially bills where it's just like, oh, we're gonna get this artist and pair it with this artist, and on paper you're gonna be like, why would that be a thing? It's like, come to the show, you're gonna see. Like I love doing that, but like every other aspect there's a lot of aspects of the business that I just find icky, and I don't know if it's like I'm just getting a little old, but I'm just like, yeah, I don't feel like doing that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like I certain aspects of touring I love, and certain aspects I'm just like, all right,
Eh.
maybe we should rethink this a
Yeah.
little bit. Like,
It's tough. That the touring thing is tough because like you need the this gig is still so hyper local. The music is
yeah,
so
yeah,
I mean it's town to town, it's neighborhood to neighborhood. I mean it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
And so you at some point like you need to put your body where other people where their eyes are
yes.
to do the thing. And that's but like the economics of doing that, man, are really tough
It's
to square.
especially on the environmental aspect. Like that's another thing. Like as much as I like to say, like, oh, I'm small time, I'm not really contributing much to it. Like I tour like a road comic. You know, like
Mhm.
before the pandemic, like I wouldn't play my local town very much. I would go to a different town. And it's just like that's contributing, and it's
Yeah.
but at the same time, like that is where the love is being served, so to speak.
Yep.
You know, and it's just like if that community wants you to be a part of their thing, like why would you say no? And like I'm sure, like yeah, sure, like get an electric car, but I mean, like the electricity that powers those electric cars is still coming from
Mhm.
fossil fuels. You know, so it's just like there are so many aspects of it, like where it's just like, huh, okay, do you do less and then try to emphasize certain dates more? Like I was thinking of just doing seasonal, like because
Mm.
the most of the grind is like you gotta be always be
Right.
grinding, always be hustling. I'm thinking of just getting to a point where it's just like if you go to a place more than once a year, like at most go there seasonally, like
Yeah.
winter gig, summer gig, spring gig,
That's
fall
nice.
gig, and then just because I don't know, like I like we all got to pay our rent, but I also don't want to be part of that industrial complex that just kind of like spits people out, and it's just
Mm.
like we're creating a bunch of noise for nothing when and that's why Twitch is kind of cool because it allows you to just like communicate with those people to a point where like you can kind of make it a point of just like, all right, we're going for like treating it like a con or something. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, now that we got y'all here, like we're gonna do the thing at this point. But I have no idea. I also anyone in this business that says, "Ah, you know what you should do," like don't listen to them because like if that worked, they'd be doing it.
Right.
So like I don't know it, and I'm not going to pretend like I know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This is a fun time. It's a heady time right now, this reopening thing, for sure.
Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I feel I guess I mean honestly, I'm just I was watching a live concert video the other day, and there was like the camera was like sweeping through the theater, and I was like,
Mhm.
I can smell that theater.
Yeah.
I can smell the haze on from the stage and the air conditioning and the cleaning products and the odor of the crowd and like the Rasta dude a couple seats over, you know, like I can just smell that theater. And I was like,
Yeah.
I just want that. I just want to smell that theater so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's where I'm at. I'm just like, I mean, we talk a lot. Me and you know, my partner in Give Take in the label, we talk a lot about you know the future of the industry and where we
Yeah.
see ourselves. And um, I think the streaming thing, this Twitch thing's totally here to stay.
I think it is.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think it's I don't think it's a replacement. I think it's a compliment.
yeah, totally, yeah. And I think you know the medium has always determined what music is. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, like sheet
Yeah.
music composers used to be the thing because you couldn't reproduce music, and so you'd go out and buy the hottest charts for sheet music, and then you'd play it in your local club or your church or whatever, and then like the reason we do albums is because that's how much music fits on a lacquer disc, you know, like, and
Yeah.
now we're not like, it was always about the transport medium. And now that we have
Yeah.
this digital transport medium, what is, and this is like an honest question, what is a collection of songs anymore?
Yes. Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
was really all about how much you could cut into the groove, and that's just not necessary anymore. So of course it's going to shift the way that we think about producing and consuming the music, because the delivery method has always been the thing that determined it in the first place.
And it's weird how it kind of goes in cycles, even with
Yeah.
all these technology, because like there's periods of time where it's like, oh, it's all about singles, and now albums are coming back because there is that medium. I just don't think the industry is ever going to get to a point where it was when like the boomers were running the show, where it's just like one band is going to dominate everything. No, they're not, and no, they shouldn't. Like, like as much as I love the Beatles,
right?
Can we move on? Like it's okay to move on. Like we don't need one thing to dominate all the attention. We just need heartfelt content. And I think some creatives shine in like, no, I only like I'm old school. I only make singles. Like I only release 7 inches, you know, like that's my thing. And then you have bands like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, where it's just like, I don't want a single from King Gizzard. I want a 2-hour thing where you spark up a joint and you let them take you wherever the hell they're gonna go. Because that's kind of the point. They got 2 drummers, they have microtonal guitars, and a lot's going on. And I kind of appreciate that long form groove, so to speak. Yeah, but I don't think I don't think because one person is successful at one thing, you need to force an artist to be like, you gotta get this too. It's like, no, just let them do them. Sorry, I cut you off. What were you
No, it's okay. Well, a lot of this comes back to like, we need like we need an economy, which is to say that we need money. It's like, it's not about money, but because we live in a capitalist society, it becomes about money. And and we don't need to be like, we all just need funds. We all have bills, and the idea is that, you know, if $10 that stays in our community, if I pay you $10, that's now $20 in our community. And
because it's the cycling of money. Yeah.
And so like, and since we don't really have that, since everything goes through billionaire intermediaries and mega corporation intermediaries, like the money channels up, and then we're all supposed to kind of like squeeze the stone to get it again. Really like it has us all kind of searching. You know, we're all kind of trying to like drink dust here.
We are.
And that seems to be sort of, to me, the big challenge, because if that was all functioning the way it should be, these other questions I think would sort of just be like fun questions. You know, they would just be sort of like, well, what do you do? Oh, I like to release singles. Oh, I like to make records. Oh, I like to do 2 hours of microtonal craziness. Oh, well, I like to do 15-minute sets. And, you know, and like that all would just sort of be a function of where your heart is. But we have this layer on top of us that sits and really puts this extra level of pressure on us. It's
and I do think like pressure can like yield some interesting creative input, but
it
like
does, for sure.
It's not.
Programming on KFAI is supported by Southside Pride.
So we have these carts that I gotta play, and I gotta make sure the right ones are getting played. So 2 more of these, and we will be back on the air.
Okay.
KFAI is supported by Opportunity
There
Partners,
we go.
a Twin Cities nonprofit dedicated to advancing
Okay.
the quality of life with disabilities.
All right.
Opportunity Partners helps people.
So I usually try to play local stuff at the top of the hour. So I don't want to feel like I'm like giving you the Ryan Seacrest treatment by like, hey, we're gonna play the single now. So like one more set, and then
All right.
here we go. So we just heard some extended tracks. Genesis, Tonight, Trip Like I Do, The Crystal Method, and David Bowie, Let's Dance. Always like playing the extended cuts when I can. And if you're just tuning in, it's 15 minutes to the top of the hour here, and I'm talking with Bijou Noir about, well, quite a lot, because you're up to quite a lot. We will get to the single. Let's talk about that. We're going to play that in the next set. But do you mind if I talk to you about Tied to the Tracks? Because I just found this. Yeah, this is a great idea. You and Barb Abney are working on a podcast together. How do you do this via Zoom? Like, because you're bi-coastal now at this point.
Yeah, that's just we just we get together with our it's me and Barb and a guest we tape every week, and then we're putting them out every 2. We have already a large cache of episodes waiting in the wings.
Nice,
we just use Zoom, and then I edit it all together in my abundant free time.
You had some great guests so far, Mark Mallman as well as Andrea Swenson. So how do you choose albums? Do you just kind of let the guests decide, or is it kind of like a prompt where it's just like, what about this album? Who can talk about this album?
Mostly it's a bit of both. Sometimes we will say like, oh, well, we've had to say a focus on 80s music, so let's find someone who we know is probably going to pick a record that's not in the 80s. So we do sort of follow our noses that way with the guests. But then for the most part, our guests are picking what they want to talk about, which is really fun because they bring in, basically you get someone kind of talking about like one of their favorite albums. And that's what a thrill to like sit and just, shoot the breeze with someone for an hour and a half about something that's a piece of work that's really touched them. And kind of mine that for nuggets. It's a really cool format. I'm really, really, really excited. Every single week we do it, I just feel so uplifted by the end.
Yeah. I love the idea of it. I love the long form conversation because like it's kind of the way before the internet, friendships in the music community were kind of built, like you're sitting around in the record store or not in the record store. You're just like looking for something where it's just like, I don't know what to get. and then just having a friend be like, it's not in a snobby way. Like I genuinely mean like a friend who just like is excited about music and can point you in a direction of like, oh, if you like this, you'll love this. Like almost like a sommelier. Like just like that. That's or like this for this. Like you're going on a camping trip. This or you're doing this. You're doing what do you pair with this situation?
And it's really cool because KFAI listeners probably know. I mean, Barb is so schooled; she knows so much music.
Oh yeah,
and so her experience and her depth and breadth of knowledge that she knows all these people. Whenever we talk about it, she's like, yeah, I had him in an interview. And then so like that thrill of that the connections that are actually out there, like you said, are so myriad, and you can just connect all these pieces of work, and the conversations are I don't know, they're really uplifting in a time like you can engage in art, and all we're doing is engaging in a piece of art. And we do try to keep it. People are like, what's the deal on this thing? You're like, well, we're not like, this isn't record store employee snobs. Like we're not Pitchfork. We're just like friends vibing out on a great record.
And it's a great concept. So I have to ask, would any of the records you put on the Desert Island list end up on a show? If you were the guest, would they end up being one of the records you're like, oh well, we got to talk about this?
Oh yeah, that's why when you told me like I need your 10 records, and I said to you I was born for this, like I am basically keeping at all times a list of 10 records that I'm this is just like some people are like thinking about, like some people are thinking about like dinner, or some people are like thinking about their past traumas, or some people are thinking about, you know, like their status in the. I am not thinking about any of that. I'm usually just keeping a running tally of if I had to go now, which 10 am I going to pick?
Which 10? So which of the 10 did you discover first, or did it discover you? What was the thing you encountered first in your life on this list?
A lot of this stuff was kind of floating around in the miasma, but I want to say the one I want to say probably there's a Mount Rushmore for me that are just like there's 4 records that are just like they're coming. There's no matter what. That's which is Radiohead, Hail to the Thief, which I'm pretty sure I was probably the easy answer to that. Achtung Baby by U2, which really have a lot of similarities kind of feel and sonics. St. Vincent's Actor, which I'm sure to this day is still the record that I've spun the most. And the Spoon record rotates, but I did pick They Want My Soul for this particular.
This is exactly why I don't have any tattoos, because I definitely have that similar thing where it's just like, there's definitely a few records, but even then they change, and then it becomes like artists, where it's just like, well, which Coltrane record, which Radiohead record? And I'm also glad that you put Achtung Baby on the list, not only because it's the next song, but it's always like when you deal with a record store snob and you're like, oh, really? You too? It's like, oh, really? Dude, Joshua Tree's a solid record. Achtung, like, listen, you come on. Like, I did leave Bono's antics out of it and listen to the riffs.
He's not Morrissey. I mean, what?
True, very true.
Like everyone's problem with Bono. Like, I'll stand Bono. Like, not that he needs it, but like, you know, what's our problem with him is he's like too good. He's like too.
It's like the other end of the spectrum of like Guy Fieri, where it's just like people don't like his aesthetic, but it's just like, what's wrong with it? He's a nice guy. He helps out the community. Like he's raising money for people. Like he's just trying to help restaurants. Like
he's having fun.
Like he's having fun. I mean, like you don't have to enjoy his aesthetic, but like in the Me Too era where we're discovering just monsters upon monsters, just because someone's a little bit pretentious, but overall a fine person, come on. You don't have to listen to the record. Let people have that band. Let people enjoy things.
I am so comfortable. I am oddly comfortable with pretension for a blue collar boy. I am like pretentious does not bother me. Like you can be snobby around me. I put on airs, man. I don't care. That just like, there's a lot of things that just like, I can live with that.
Yeah. I a little bit of pretension if it's like witty, but I don't like punching down. But I don't think Bono does. I don't think Bono does.
I think he's in the business of uplifting the globe.
Yeah. I think that's just kind of where he's at. And it's like that John Mulaney bit where it's just like, when you're that famous, like, I don't think you just understand, like, watch Garth Brooks's Instagram and you'll get what fame does to you. Like, it changes you a little bit. And I don't think Bono's a bad dude as much as like he's a really famous person who's met a lot of famous people, and he's just in that bubble.
Oh yeah, totally. For his own safety.
And that's what
for his own physical safety.
So well, say what you will about U2. Let's have them speak for themselves. Here is Mysterious Ways here on KFAI. It was doing that thing again.
What thing?
Okay. I don't like then my phone wouldn't want to do it, and now it played from my laptop, so I'm just like, all right, fine. I'm just gonna so this is we have technology gremlins today, but that's fine. I'm having a good time as long as the listeners aren't like, my ears. These I don't think the was on the air. It might be. I'll listen back and I'll probably be like, come on. Come on, that's in there. But no, I was thinking about this when I was putting this list together, when I saw Achtung Baby, because like I was re-listening to it and just thinking like, okay, what song am I going to put on this? And it's just like, there are like this riff it's so simple, but it's just like, it's immediately iconic. The Edge has come up with so many, like, say what you will about the Edge. I know you shredders like to hate on the Edge, but he has come up with earworms that just burrow immediately into your soul. That is like part of your lexicon. Like U2 is like AC/DC in that regard, where it's like you might not even know the band, but you've heard their songs. You've heard those songs.
Like the dotted eighth note delay. Like there's like he basically now any delay pedal you buy has a dotted eighth note setting on it because of the Edge. I mean he just like he's totally like listen to any of the like any indie rock band from like 2010 onward, like anybody who's doing that, like they're all doing the dotted eighth note thing.
Yeah. And it's to the point where if you started doing it in your band, people would be like, "Oh yeah, cool Edge thing, dude."
Yep.
Like it's like so much like tied to, I don't know. It's like I always kind of appreciated how he, because there's like a Jeff Tweedy quote where it's just like, if you need a pedal to play the song, it's not a song. I disagree. I think he's finding a way to use the technology as an instrument.
Okay, hold on, Jeff. That's just utter trash, because like there's like let's take any take a I don't know Tchaikovsky song. Like you can't play that with your guitar, Jeff. I mean maybe a little bit, but like there are like I want to say technology considerations like any song. I'm sorry, do you need a microphone sometimes to yes, then sometimes is that not a song if only 5 people can hear it because you're not amplified? Like what's really the difference between a microphone and a pedal?
And singing and like singing techniques changed when technology evolved. Like they used to like only get singers who could project, and then when microphones got a little bit clearer, like that opened the doors for like your Bing Crosbys, like the crooners who like kept it at a low volume, and then you're using the microphone as an instrument to carry the voice. It's like also like even in the classical era, like the only reason Baroque composers would trill so much is because they had a harpsichord. The sustain pedal hadn't been invented yet, so they just needed a thing to kind of keep it going a little bit.
I mean, or why they were building, like they had to build. This conversation is fun because like, I mean, they used to build bigger theaters. Because more people were interested, but then you had to have bigger orchestras in order to have everybody who's coming to your show hear you. So like that, like the whole process of like why orchestras are so big is because theaters are so big because the music got popular. Or like, again, like the wall of amps, like, the Led Zeppelin, Who era, like 60s, 70s rock, like pinnacle dad rock era wall of amps. Well, again, like that's kind of what they had to do to get the, the sound waves, the pressure to reach the ears of all those people. Like now we have line arrays. We don't have to do that.
I was about to make that point. That's exactly why we have line arrays, because like eventually we figured out, I guess we don't really need to do that anymore, do we? It's like less stuff to bring. And it's so like I just think context shapes content. Hold on. Ooh, we're getting a phone call here. KFAI studio line. This is Doc. Oh. Virtually off. Ooh, well, thanks for letting me know. I didn't know. Well, thanks for tuning in. No, apparently my mic is a little quiet in the mix. But yeah, I also like playing Tom Petty in because Tom Petty has this weird thing where it's like he is everyone's like Link. Like in a weird way, you can find a metalhead and like a jazz cat that enjoys Tom Petty.
Yeah,
like
it's not
there's
hard to like that guy.
Yeah, he's like America's uncle. It's like it's like, oh yeah, Tom Petty's here.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. And yeah, there's something about Tom Petty, but also like I forget how many songs he's written.
Yeah.
Like just like everyone makes the Free Fallin' joke. And by the way, that's still a good song.
Yeah.
So is Wonderwall. Like, I get that they're overplayed, but like they got there for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm not asking to go on a campaign of like save Wonderwall. I'm just saying like, okay, relax. Like just let people enjoy things. You don't have to listen to Wonderwall. You don't have to cover Wonderwall. But like, how many songs of Free Fallin' caliber has that dude written?
Right.
So many. So many. It's ridiculous.
For decades.
Yeah, and
that whole band is just good, and like there's no weak link in this band. I mean, I think they actually kind of don't get enough credit for just being like a really solid live group.
Yeah,
because they were, it's not like they were like the Heartbreakers are and were a real band. Like those guys got in the room and they did this, and
oh yeah, they were.
When that was not that you didn't have to do that anymore. Petty wouldn't have had to have done that.
No,
but
not anymore.
Band. Yeah, I think out here you could be out. You can hire session musicians and had lots of singers, and lots of bands just do that. But like this really was like this 5 or 6 of those guys in the room doing this.
Yes, yeah, and it's a lot of their sound comes from like how solid the drummer is. And I don't think like that gets into that weird debate where like people are just like, oh, it used to be this. It's just like, no, it's just things change. I don't think the music is better or worse because of it, but I do think the energy you get on a recording is different when you do that.
Yeah.
Which is why I think people want to play live in the studio or not. But I also like recording is something I wish I knew more about, to like just kind of get a better grasp on it, just because like it's just something like I feel like of all the things I've done in music, I've done that the least.
Yeah.
And like most of my experiences are like, I know how to make a 4-track work. I know how to make, something sound like deliberately weird or kind of out there or kind of like, it gives you a weird feeling. But like, if you wanted to hire me to make your string quartet sound good, you might want to pick someone else. Like that's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that's like, it really is an art.
I love engineers. Engineers are like amazing. I love being in the presence of like a real engineer because they're so patient. They'll just like, okay, well, let's take another take, and then they'll just sort of like be present with you, and they're like, okay, and you're like, can I hear that again? Okay, and it's like, I'll just be calmly here as long as it takes. Like that's like my favorite. Like all the best engineers that I worked with just had this like calm, like Zen presence to them. Which I just love being around.
It's really inspiring. Like that, LPF got to work with Brett Bouillon, and he was like that to a T. Like I learned something from him, but like his energy was just like, it's just like, but like he also has that engineer's ear where it's just like he is looking for a specific feeling as much as you are. So it's just like, oh, I'm here to make a record. I'm here to make this sound like a record. Like, I love when engineers are like that, where it's just like, no, like then that was something he would say all the time. It's like when you get a mix, he's like, yeah, it sounds like a record. And he would get excited about it. And that's cool. Where it's like you're always searching for that sound. Yeah. And like that, like it's really inspiring to watch, where it's just like that you get a good engineer that makes like, treats the soundboard like it's its own instrument,
Which
you're treating the studio like an instrument. It's like it's I don't know. Like I think anyone who says relying on the studio is like a crutch is just someone who doesn't understand it. Because like if you watch the work and labor it goes to make something sound artificial and computerized, like
Yeah.
it's just an aesthetic choice. Like
Right.
like you gotta really finely tune the tones and balance them out, even if it is like auto-tuned or quantized. Like it's
Right.
like you still gotta. It's not the easy way out. If anything, it makes it more complicated.
Yeah.
Like
It's just like really, it's just about the amount of time. It's about how do I say this? Where you have the time, because like I think I don't know that there's no musician that I know who like doesn't have a perfect take in them. You just don't
Yeah.
always have 8 weeks in a studio to go do that. You had a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of times at what we're doing, we have 3-4 days, right?
Yeah.
And so like the money is invested in the software because
Yeah.
the money isn't there for you to be, the time, like time is money now. So like
Yeah.
I can't sit for 8 weeks as much as I would love to.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So I have to invest in different ways.
Yeah.
Again,
And
it's just economics.
it's insane too, because like I also don't think like a studio is always an accurate representation of because sometimes like even session players, like everyone has bad days.
Right.
And like you said, it's like, hey, we're here for 4 days. And you get this ace player who's already done 6 sessions that week and just kind of is coming in like, that's what you wanted, right? Well, yeah, but can you get it more like this? And it's just like everyone, if they had a week, they'd
Right.
nail it. But, and sometimes they don't have a week. And sometimes you don't have $6,000 to give them a week.
Exactly. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I don't know. It's like that's another thing about like the classism in the arts is something that kind of, because I don't know what to do about that. Like that touches everything. That's just that's not just music. That's like literally the way the world is going around. So it's just like that. Whew.
Even apes, even gorillas and chimpanzees, they organize themselves in hierarchies.
Dolphins do too. Wolves do.
Yeah. Like we're gonna have a real hard time breaking like isms like that. We just organize by hierarchy, and like I don't, like, and if it wasn't the hierarchies that currently exist, it would be others. And
we would find.
And that's not to say like we couldn't find more productive hierarchies. Like I wish the greatness of a man was measured against like how many, like it could be like how many people he helped instead of how many billions he shunted off to go to Mars. But
right. Stand by. We're gonna do the local thing here. Okay. So we just heard the Talking Heads off of probably one of the greatest live albums ever, Stop Making Sense. We also heard Tom Petty and U2 in that set. Let's talk about what's going to be heard this weekend and beyond. Now, this is kind of crazy because today, I think this is the only live streamed show on the list. One is live streamed too, but it's also available live and in person. So tonight, Catalyst Artist Collective is going to be playing and throwing a bill, and this is going to be an online event that starts at 8. Ev, Rigby, Catalyst, and Alien Book Club. So check out the Facebook event that is going to happen tonight. Thursday, Kiss the Tiger is going to continue the residency for their Vicious Kid release at Ice House. And Javier Trejo is going to be playing the Midway Saloon, and that, I believe, also gets live streamed. So if you can't be in St. Paul, there you go. Friday, Pop at France, Mary Bew and the Teardowns. That is a bi-monthly showcase or weekly showcase curated by Katie Vernon. And that's who we got this week. We also have Gentleman Speaker in Solid State outside at Part Wolf. The Dharma Hounds CD release show, dual release show with the Foxgloves. The Foxgloves are also releasing a record at Dayblock. All of these are outside shows on Friday. Of course, Record Store Day is this Saturday. It's not always on this date. In fact, I think some record stores are kind of rotating the date throughout the summer, but locally we have a few record stores doing some outdoor performances, mostly some DJs, but all those sweet deals and specific record store day merch items are going to be available. So please support your local record store, because we've all had a rough go in quarantine, them included. Sunday, Corn Sweat. This is Mikkel Beckman and Charlie Parr. So if you saw this on the bill and you didn't know what it was, this was kind of like their secret announcement. But if you see Corn Sweat, that's who it is. And it's an afternoon show at Palmer's. Sunday as well, Run Westy Run at the Hewing Hotel on the rooftop. And then Maria and the Coins are going to be at the Lake Harriet Bandshell on Sunday. Looking ahead, Only Every Monday has moved out of Twitch, and it is now on the outdoor stage at the Caboose. So Only Every Monday is going to be Only Every Monday this summer at the Caboose. Also, speaking of outdoor festival seasons, Stone Archfest is on. I know we all read the papers saying a lot of those things were canceled. That one even sent out a press release saying we're not doing it this year, but it is back on, and the lineup looks really good. So I will mention that next week, because that's 2 weeks from now, 10 days from now. So before we play this new track from Bijou Noir, you mentioned that you've been doing, by the way, I'm speaking with Bijou Noir here on Desert Islands, if you're just tuning in, because it is well past the top of the hour here on KFAI, Fresh Air Community Radio, 90.3 FM in Minneapolis, and everywhere on the web, kfai.org. Yeah, Desert Islands, the show where I make mixtapes based on my guests' 10 records they bring to a desert island. And today we're making one for Bijou Noir, because you've been releasing a single monthly, and this one hasn't come out yet. This is actually gonna be a premiere. So what is this single about, and are you going to be doing any Twitch streaming? Because you mentioned you did it in the past, but are you just going to continue? It's like, I'd rather just keep releasing the content.
We'll do some Twitch streams. I always do release these. I always find a live recording of these that I've from the past, or we'll make one. So there will definitely be some Twitch streams in the future. I really enjoy doing those. I mean, I prefer to be in a club, but I'll take Twitch while I have to.
Yeah. So you mentioned there's like a narrative in some of these singles. Is this continuing a narrative, or is this track kind of on its own?
A bit of both. This is the very last song I wrote in the cycle of songs that I, the collection of songs that formerly called an album. So this song is, you mentioned Katie Vernon earlier. I also wrote this I also write sad songs on a ukulele. And so when I moved and I was living out of a backpack, I bought a ukulele, just so I could have a musical instrument around. And it was, and like, so took this ukulele, from country to country, and wrote a lot of songs on, including this one. So this one, as I started to get kind of more confident with my chops on the instrument, I feel like this one starts to kind of show that. So the electric ukulele kind of shines more prominently. I guess, like, thematically, I want to say it's about, well, it's pretty clearly about letting somebody, letting someone go out of your life, letting a bad influence, or this word gets thrown around a lot, but a toxic influence in your life finally go, and just finding the courage and the kind of emotional wherewithal to stand up for yourself. And so this song is pretty personal for me, and so it's maybe a little difficult to talk about, but yeah, I think that it's just kind of about somebody saying, "Hey, man, like you're done, you're out."
Yeah. Well, let's not talk about it. Let's just listen.
Nice.
This is "I Turned Into a River" by Bijou Noir here on KFAI. Of course. For a second there, I was just like, is it playing? Is it playing?
Oh
Did
yeah,
did I screw up again?
Got that quiet intro.
Ooh, there we go. There we go. I was just making sure I didn't overcorrect and have the left. You know, it's like that's like the because I always like right here is the point where I have to like enter a lot of metadata. For instance, I still haven't entered the talking heads. Ooh, that's bad. But like I always feel bad because it's like that like episode of Seinfeld where Kramer like discovers the Tonight Show set, and he just like starts having shows in his apartment, and during the commercial breaks, like he just doesn't acknowledge people and just like waits to the this is like right after the local calendar. I have like so much stuff to type. I feel like I'm doing that to people. Yeah. And that's not what I'm trying to do. And it's always during like the artist's song, which is like I'm always worried I'm like unintentionally making it awkward, where it's just like, okay, here it is. Okay.
And anyway,
it's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to make sure you get credit for playing something on the radio.
Which reminds me, I need to register that.
I definitely like I go back and forth on like I don't know. I used to be a little bit more proactive about it. And certain things I'm just like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know? Especially since like, well, for instance, like this year I released like basically a lo-fi piano recital. And I'm just like, okay, like this is just something I feel like my little cult following is going to digest. Like I don't think this is going to get sync placed, you know, like it's deliberately lo-fi. It's not going to be, you know, like there's certain things like that, but like then there's other things where it's just like old bands that like I had an old record from an old band. It's now starting to get play, and I didn't register it. And I'm just like, well, damn it. I didn't think that band was going to like start getting noticed like 10 years after the fact. I didn't think that would happen. Like, and not that it's about that, but also like we do need food. Yep. Like, but it's also like the streaming thing is cool, and like I'm always excited when my friends like get a lot of streams on their work, but at the same time, like spending $5 on a quick little EP is gonna go way longer. You know, like spending $20 on a local artist's work.
Yeah.
You need to get how many streams do you need to get? Like how many streams do you need to get $20 at this point? I don't even know the actual math on it.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Hundreds of thousands or millions. I mean, it's a lot. Yeah.
It's at least like tens of thousands.
Yeah.
And that might not even be big enough. That might not even be enough.
Yeah, because it's like a fraction of a penny. So if you want $20, it's a lot. And
it's that being said, I do think streaming is cool. I think it is, but I think it's better to treat it more like a Google search, and just kind of like remove all expectations from it. Because I think, especially when you're like, you know, like when you're like a band like The Residents, where it's just like your whole shtick is just like, hey, we're the weirdest band in the world, and we've been making albums for 40 years. you know, like Spotify is great for stuff like that, where it's just like you're, you know, like, or even if you're just like, ah, man, I'm 40 years old and I've never listened to Kraftwerk. Like, what are they about? Like, just having that like library of Alexandria to just kind of go to and be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I can kind of explore other things. But I think it's becoming, rather than a means to the end, like I think like the conglomerates are trying to like make it the end.
Totally shunt us into that.
Yeah, and it's just like it I don't know, like especially now, and maybe I'm just like strictly speaking to my parents now. You don't have to be famous to make it.
Yeah. Well, like, and honestly, speak to the parents, but also to the 16, 17, 18-year-old kids who are, you know, looking at a dream and thinking, you know, I have to be famous. Like, no, actually you don't. There's lots of jobs. It's an industry.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, like you can, if you cultivate a following of like a handful of thousands of people to like maybe 2 handfuls of thousands of people, and you're not a household name, it's really all you need. If people are coming to the shows and having a good time, and you know, like that's like I've honestly had more success treating things in the Radiohead model of just like, yeah, I have stuff that you can pay for, but like I also just have a tip jar, you know, like I put out a lot of stuff for free. I put out some stuff where it's just like, no, you need to go on Patreon for that one or whatever. But like, I've had more luck just kind of going like, yep, it's all there for free. You can pay it if you want. More people come to the shows, and then when people do buy the record, it's just like they intentionally pay above full price.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, that model doesn't really work for a pop star. You know, like it's just like it kind of works for like, you know, in the jazz or the punk world, because there's like a different expectation of you know, it's like a dinner party. You know, like you're going into a different house. There's different rules. It doesn't make one better or worse. It's just some people want you to take off their shoes and some people don't. With pop music, like I don't know. I don't know what I almost think like if you gave it away for free, you know, you would just kind of get hosed by your label.
Yeah, because there's a certain expectation that like if there's because there's free pop on car commercials. I don't know. It's different.
Yeah. It's like I don't know. I don't think we'll know the answer to this, because like you said, no matter how far you get into this thing, there's still like these tech overlords that can kind of step in at any given moment.
Tech overlords and like old school banking industry.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like and that industry is like tied to fossil fuels too. Like that's
insurance.
That's like that. It's like so much big pharma, you know, like it's that's the kind of thing where it's just like I'm kind of glad I'm a musician, because I'm just like, whoa, oh man, I kind of feel like I just kind of become like a toddler again, where it's just like, oh, can I just go outside?
Yeah. Can I just play? You know?
Yeah, like, I didn't, you know, like that episode of Maria Bamford's show where like she gets a gig and then realizes like there's like this like terrible butterfly effect of like, like she's responsible for starting like coups in like Africa and South America because the corporation she got a gig for is like just, and she's like, oh no, like, now I'm the face of that. Like I'm the mascot of fascism. Okay. And it's I don't know. I do think it's almost better to be kind of like one of those character actors, because like you can like fame is weird. I tell this to my students all the time, because I had a few students, actually in a few good bands, like Bugsy and Keep for Cheap and Vile. Like they're good kids in good bands. But I could definitely tell, like, there's, like, people are like, yeah, like, how do you get famous? And I'm just like, you might not want to be famous. You might not want to be that famous. Like, just focus, like, the music's good. Just keep making good music and try to have fun, because sometimes fame, it's not like it ruined. I'm not talking about like you're going to break up the Beatles. Like, I'm talking about like your inability to have like your own thoughts anymore. Like, you can't just like go get a sandwich. Like I have friends who have won Grammys, and it's like weird watching them. It's like, oh, I'm just a guitar player in this really famous band.
Yeah.
But like the singer gets mobbed to the point where like he is always on guard, and and that like Dunbar's number thing kicks in, where like he'll see you again, and like he kind of gets freaked out. We're like, whoa, who are you? Like, what do you want? And then he realizes, oh wait, you're Nick's friend. Cool. Yeah. I remember now. Sorry, I'm in that thing. It's like you're people are shoving thousands of faces in your face,
right? And
you're expected to please them all, and it's that. Like, it's, say what you will about Taylor Swift, she handles it with such grace. Like, it's like you almost have to be a politician to be that.
Oh yeah, totally. I said this a couple of years ago. Like, I think President is possibly Taylor Swift's is like honestly might be an end game for her. I'm serious. I've been saying this because like she's so.
Do you think she?
I don't know, but like she's so masterful at that thing.
Yes.
And like at some point, like if you're gonna be the biggest thing in the world since you're 17, that's like Arnold level. And like at some point, what are you gonna do? You have to go into actual power.
That's like I wonder if that's what Kanye was thinking.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the model for this for me. He was the biggest movie star in the world.
And yeah, of course. And then that like kind of like, where do you?
He was at the pinnacle of his sport as an athlete, and then he was like at the pinnacle of his sport, or of his job as his career as an actor. It's like, what else do? You become the governor of the largest state in the country, like.
Right. Yeah. After this underwriting, we will be back on the air.
Cool.
So we can talk about music and what you got coming up next, and also stuff that's already out too. Like whatever you want to. Like, use the platform. It's pretty freeform around here. But yeah, in about 10 seconds, we're going to be back online here. All right. Stand by. Okay, so we heard the brand new single from Bijou Noir. We also heard another. I put 2 for 1 on this list because he's also doing a single a week, and that was not his newest one, but a few weeks back we heard Levitate there, and Lost in Time, that was Smokin' Joe, who just put that out last week. So pandemic brain is still in effect, people. I'm trying my best to get things on time, or at least in a timely manner, but here on Desert Islands, I make mixtapes for my guests based on the 10 records they bring to a desert island. And today I am making one for Bijou Noir, who is with me both virtually on Twitch and Facebook and YouTube, but right now. So you're doing a single a month.
Right.
So do you have plans to release this as a compilation, as a collection, or are they going to stand on their own?
We'll have to see. I mean, I really do feel like the songs stand on their own. The question of whether whether we'll collect them physically into like a package so that you can have them, because they're going to be there. It's like, put them on your playlist if you really require them to be together. Whether we'll package them physically is really going to depend on whether I get a sense that there's a demand for it.
Yeah. I completely agree with the demand, because I think sustainability is a huge focus for me of like, how do we do this sustainably? And as much as I want to put my stuff on vinyl,
Oh,
there's
forget it.
a lot of petroleum that goes into there, and now there's a waiting list, and now it's
Yeah.
just like, if 100 people wanted it on vinyl, sure. If 300, sure.
Yes.
But like, I don't think, I think me being a particularly weird artist, me putting out vinyl is just vanity at this point.
I own a record label called Give Take, which is based in Minneapolis, and artists all the time will have these discussions with artists, and all the time they're like, well, can I get vinyl? Can we do a vinyl? And like I own the label, and I don't even put my stuff out on vinyl. Like,
It's
the
like
economics of vinyl are so different.
Yeah. Oh, it's that answer is always technically.
Yeah.
Could we do vinyl? Yeah, sure.
Sure.
But that is also like it goes back to a point we had earlier, where it's like it's so much dependent on the individual. Context shapes content. There are bands that their fans will only consume their stuff on cassette.
Right.
And honestly, more power to them. I love that cassettes are coming back. Like I think it's a cool sounding medium. They aren't durable and they wear out, but I do like the fact that we have the download card, and there's the artwork is just, there's some fun things you can do with that medium.
Hey Doc, do you remember mini discs?
Yeah, I did. Can you even still find those? Are those?
Yeah. In fact, so my project Tulip Tiger and the label that I own have been participating in International Mini Disc Day, which was just last weekend.
Really? That's so cool. We used to have a mini disc player at KFAI. That was the most fun thing about doing this show, is like we could play everything. You know, like when Bruised Violet came in, they only had tapes, so we like put the tape in and like cued it to the point, the exact song, because it's like 4 songs in. We used to have a mini disc player, but it didn't get used as often, so we took it to our backup studio. And so we have one lying around, but yeah, we used to be able to play mini discs. I just never had the privilege of seeing one in the wild to like actually like. So what is the deal with mini discs? Like, are they still being like? Do you have to like kind of buy a bunch of old ones and then load them, or do they still make new ones? How does that work?
My understanding is that there's enough old ones out there. I don't know that anyone's making new ones, but in Japan they were making new ones until just recently.
No way.
So there's apparently the availability of them is still high enough, but they also can be rewritten and reusable. So we'll see what happens in the next 5-10 years. I'm sure supplies are going to dwindle, but right now, man, it's a great time to be in mini discs, and people love them, and they sound great, and they're so cool. They're like the pinnacle of like Matrix level cool. They just like, it's like the height of 1999 is the mini disc.
Yeah. Sure. It's like going to Blockbuster, like it's like I missed the whole mini disc trend. Yeah, like I had a Walkman, and then I had a Discman forever, like for several generations of iPod, and then I got an iPod, and the second I got an iPod, they were kind of like on the way out.
Yeah,
but that is me for everything. Like when people had like an iPhone 10, I was still on like the 4S. It's like, oh, this is cheap. I guess I can get an iPhone now. Yeah. So, like I'm always behind on tech. But I never actually listened to one.
The mini discs hit kind of were hit and miss per country, and I ended up living in the Czech Republic, which is one of the places where mini discs were fairly popular. And so I inherited one when I moved into an apartment, a player, and just kind of got into it, and came really fascinated with the format. I ended up getting a 4-track mini disc recorder, like a Yamaha 4-track to actually record onto. Yeah. Which are pretty hard. Yeah, I stumbled on one of those, and there's like a little more availability out there, and so I got into it. But then I found out about this International Mini Disc Day. My project Tulip Tiger is releasing. Give Take just released a Kept record and Double Diamond Sunbody on mini disc, and so and people love them. People snatch them up. We sell out every time we do a mini disc run. It's crazy.
That's cool. It's like that. this is getting me kind of psyched because it reminds me on how I got into tapes. Like the reason I press my stuff on the tape is not because it's trendy, but because like the touring van I bought for when I was in several bands, and I still use that thing. I drove it to the station today. It only has cassettes.
Right.
Like the thing is legally old enough to drink. So like I got into cassettes just by like anytime I would tour, I'd go to Goodwill, or if the record store had tapes, I would buy a tape, like an
Totally.
artifact, and keep the receipt and be like, oh yeah, Eau Claire. Oh yeah, Ohio. Like that kind of thing. And then it just became a thing where like whenever friends bands releasing stuff on tape, like we'd like, yeah, let's do a merch trade. And I would just be like, can I have a tape? I geeked out on collecting them for some reason. And I would try to like find my records from my childhood. And like, I'm a little bummed because I wore out Greetings from Asbury Park and Purple Rain. They're getting to the point where like those are just pieces of art. Like they're getting unplayable. They're getting unplayable, but that's okay. It's kind of part of the fun. I need to check out. I know. I can't. I just can't quit them. I need to check out this mini disc thing, but I also need to let everyone know that if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Desert Islands, the show where I make mixtapes for my guests based on the 10 records they bring to a desert island. And right now we're talking with Bijou Noir about mini discs, and check it out on mini disc. So can you get that on your website? Do you sell the mini discs on your website?
Yeah, if people, so the record label I own is called Give Take. Our website is givetake.life, and we've got mini discs there and on Bandcamp as well.
Okay,
so givetake.life. We got a couple records for sale right now, which are going to sell out. So if you're curious, act fast.
Do it. Well, if you like what you hear it again, and hear it fast because supplies are limited. So let's keep going with the mixtape. We're gonna have some LCD sound system and some Radiohead coming up, but here is some TV on the radio here on KFAI. So this is the point where I think we only have one song left on your top 10 list. Cool. And now it's just kind of getting into stuff that I thought might pair well with it on a mixtape. I'm almost like trying to like, I think after this show, I'm going to go home and like Google where you can find a mini disc player. Cause like, I'm legit intrigued on like, so is it basically just like a CD? Like it's that quality, but like, how many minutes can you fit on a mini disc?
Same as the CD was like 70, 80 minutes.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, it's legit.
That's like. So my next question is this a culture that exploded, died out, and is coming back, or did it always hold strong? And people just were kind of not paying attention.
I think both. I think it held strong in certain areas. I mean, my understanding was that it was a perfectly viable, normal format in Japan. Like, everyone was just like, it was just another option, and you could just do it, and it wasn't kitschy or what's the word, novel. It was just another format that people just used. It's just like what you release stuff on. Yeah, and so I think it's sort of had shockwaves now. I know the scene that's really into it now are the vaporwave, sort of like that
makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
So like the releases are like, we don't do vaporwave, but the releases are really vaporwave heavy. And
there's some good vaporwave labels though. Like I dig anything that comes out of Business Casual. It's just they release so much content that it's just like, where do you start? Oh, like you kind of just have to periodically tune in and but yeah, that would make sense for vaporwave to go on mini disc because that's like their thing, like the. I don't know.
Let's see.
Oh, Business Casual doing mini discs?
Yeah, I want to see. I don't know Business Casual.
It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know who runs Business Casual. Like I feel like it's like they have so many artists on their label. I think it's just like a handful of people who do collective digging but like their whole thing is like output. Like they are constantly putting out somebody.
Are they one of those Bandcamp labels?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been like, there's something there, right? Where you just like that fire hose model where you just like find a scene and just support them and just get it out in front of amplify voices, make it cut. And I think like, I mean, this is a volume business, and so if volume of releases is the way to do it, if that's what's going to keep your lights on, that's cool.
That's just what we're gonna do. Yeah.
I can see. I can really see the appeal. Like I've thought about it. Give Take will never go that route. Will always be quality over quantity. But I could see doing something else where you just you're just like pick a scene and just if it's decent, put it out and just support the community.
Yeah, I like. I wonder if like, do you think the mini disc thing is a genre specific thing, or like are pockets just, it doesn't matter what the genre is?
I think it doesn't matter, and you're gonna get, you'll understand this being kind of artist you're gonna get people who are like, well, this isn't my mini disc, America, so I don't care. And then you're gonna get other people who are like, oh, finally a mini disc record that isn't vaporwave. Yeah.
And that is such a real thing, because like people, I always tell students whenever they start hating on other musicians, whether whether they are in their scene or not, like even if they're just like they made the big time, just like, hey, look, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. And if you don't like what they're doing, like that just means people are just going to love you, because if you think what they do sucks, that means there's plenty of room for what you're doing. And it's like, I definitely think like people try to gatekeep mediums where it's just where it's just like, oh no, like you're releasing that on tape, like what? You're not. It's just like I think it's cool to just like have a like, but you're right. People are hungry for music where it's just like, like I just own a mini disc player, guys. I don't like vaporwave that much, I just like the medium. I just want to listen to music on this medium.
It's a really good mixtape format because it records. It records really well, and it's lossless when you record on like tapes. So
really,
people love to make, because it's digital, but they're like tiny little CDRs. And so people love for that.
You are gonna talk me into releasing a mini disc, my friend.
Hit me up, man. Hit me up.
I love that. Like it's like a. I don't know. Like I guess I just never encountered one to even know what they're about. So now I want to just like get my hands on one. Also, I just thought it was funny to put Radiohead next to TV on the radio.
Nice.
For the sake of, I don't know, I like doing that on mixtapes, and I like that you brought up it's a good mixtape format, because like sometimes it's just fun to have like titles or band names be like a call and response, just for like, that's like wait a minute, hold on, trying to find the song title. It's the weirdest thing about Spinitron is like you would think like because it's a big service that like aggregates like all like AAA music, it'd be hard to find tiny independent artists. No, it finds them like immediately. Like it's almost hard to stump. Where Spinitron like kind of falls down is when huge artists who used to be on huge labels that aren't anymore, like it'll like there are certain Stevie Wonder records that are just like, well, this one or this one or this one. Did you mean this one? Mm-hmm. Pretty sure you meant this one. It's like it's the same song, same. It's just like, did you mean the 1990 reissue or the 1979 original? Because like different people own that, and it's just like it's sometimes like you'll type in a thing, and it's just like, how do you how do you not know this song? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, what do you? It's like, or it'll pop up with a correction where it's like, did you mean this? I'm like, no, I didn't.
No.
I didn't mean that at all. Actually, I just like. So yeah, I get preoccupied with all that stuff. Okay, so speaking of preoccupation, before we get carried away down the medium rabbit hole, there's one more song on this set of music. I do 3 song sets, but I just noticed we have 15 minutes left. So by the time there is done, and by the time this is done, so the next time we're going to be on the air, we're on the air now, but like radio and the internet will probably be the last talk break because I'm off at noon. So if there's anything specific you want to mention to both audiences, let me know, because that'll probably be the last air check of the show. But we still have 1.5 songs until we get there. It's just the last few times I noticed, like, oh no, we have 10 seconds. I have to shut everything down. Like, but yeah, that's where we're at. But that's good news, honestly, because like I did not notice 2 hours went by. Which is I have had so much fun doing this show because
I'll bet.
It's like you get to actually have conversations with people. And at first, the uncanny valley thing and the Zoom was a little tiring, because like you are connecting with a person, you are talking to someone, but like you're also not talking to someone. You know, you're like talking to a screen that shows someone. And I think that requires a different amount of energy. You know, like I think like, but I've gotten used to that. And now I kind of like talking to people on video chat.
Yeah.
Like, not for everything. Like, not for like, hey, can you give me a call? Yeah, sure. What about? I don't know. We're just gonna vid chat, and just it's like, you know, like, or like business where it's just like, just send me an email. But like when you're like this, I like because now we can catch up with people. They don't need to be in Minneapolis. They can be wherever. They don't have to like get their parking validated. You know, like, and you know how this goes. Like, you put out you have a record label, so you know the press junket.
Yeah. Like,
that's exhausting. And you kind of have to run the gamut and like answer the same questions and say the same soundbitey thing over and over. And it's not, that's just the nature of the beast. It's not like a good or bad thing. It's just a thing that you have to do, and it's draining. So the fact that people can just like sit in their own home and just be like, yeah, what do you want to talk about? And it's like I do actually kind of like that. I didn't at first, but it's grown on me. For sure.
I really like it for recording these podcasts. It's just so easy. Just like show up and let's talk music.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it definitely kept me sane. During all this, just because I don't know. I like it. It took my partner pointing it out, like when she said, like, you are noticeably happier now that you're allowed to like go back to work. You know, like the pandemic was really hard for everybody, but like it, and I thought I was being a good sport, but like it was, you know, like life is traumatic. And when you're nursing the wounds of your own traumas, and then you have this collective trauma upon collective trauma. So you're processing this, and you're processing, you know, community trauma, collective trauma, your own trauma, and you're not allowed to go outside. You're just supposed to sit in the white room and deal with it. Having a way to just like not only connect with people, but like connect with people about something that like it's like the Anthony Bourdain thing, where it's just like, what did you eat when you were a kid? What music did you listen to when you were a kid? Like something that is gonna lighten them up a little bit, and actually that's way better. but yeah, like it's as much as I'm trepidatious about things coming back, just because I've worked a lot of shows and I know, well, crowd dynamics are just a thing.
Yep.
And it's just like, I'm a little bit worried. I am, now that we can do this again, or like find new ways. It's huge. My mental health is definitely increased, but it was kind of weird for a while. And like doing these shows and doing podcasts, going on other people's podcasts, like you didn't realize like that was your community until it got taken away from you, and like
Yeah.
how much you took for granted. It's like, oh, it's just a show. There'll be other shows. I'll see them at the next show. Oh, they're playing
Right.
next month. Like, no, you might not. You might not see this person. You might, it's. I want to say like, oh, I'm not going to take it for granted, but like I did the first time.
I can't wait to take it for granted again.
I know. I know what you mean though. Like it's like I can't wait for it to feel like, oh no, this is just life again.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know if it's just like the years of Catholic school. But like there's like that weird survivor's guilt of like, should we be doing that? What did we learn? Did we learn anything? I don't know if we did. I don't know. Well, I think individually people did, but the industry at large, I don't think it learned a goddamn thing.
I disagree though. I do. I just don't think it's gonna. I think the seeds of something have been planted. Like these things aren't.
Ooh, that's
don't
a
change
good way.
that quick.
Yeah, you're right. It's like steering an ocean liner.
Totally.
Like if you want to make a sharp turn, you got to start it back here.
Mm-hmm.
And let the momentum take you rather than forcing it.
I think we're going to look back at this in, like when in the next generation and say like, look at it and go, oh, this was a big shift for a lot of things in the industry. We can already point to streaming, but the effects where that's going to go,
right,
is going to be, things we can't imagine. And I think just people and the opposite effect that like the real life thing, the thing that everybody took for granted of just like, God, I just like want to be in a theater and in a club again. Like, I just think that that's going to have a massive impact on our public life. Of our generation. I just don't see this. Like no one's we'll never just go back. Not entirely.
No, we will go back in a sense that we will be focused on gathering and having events, but I like overselling shows. I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
Like I think, or it's probably going to happen, but like it, not as much. I think people will be more inclined to just add a second date rather than
I think that's going to become just like more gauche.
Yeah, of just like, well, also the sustainability factor. Like I enjoy kind of touring like a road comic where it's just like, instead of like 30 dates, it's just like, I'm here this weekend, and then 2 weeks from now I'm going to be there in that weekend. And then like just kind of spending, I've been intrigued about like, what if I just did that instead of doing like the like one-offs, like just going to Chicago and just having 3 dates then coming back. Yeah. And that's the run. Rather than like, constantly road running, constantly burning the oil, constantly, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do about that, because I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I'd like to play, like, I'm in Northeast LA, which is a place where there's supposed to be a lot of venues and stuff. And so I'm kind of in that, like, I think LA is a region, right? So I think I could probably play like local and then Long Beach and then,
yes.
And then you know, Santa Monica, and basically like it's the same city, but it's totally not, you know, and just I think I could just tour this city for a while.
You absolutely could. Like it's well that's a thing that I don't think people realize. Like the Texas outlaw country blues scene has been doing that for decades. There are killer bands that you've never heard of because they never have to leave Texas. They play the same five, like that's just it. You know, like it's like you don't really have to leave, and like LA particularly, but Southern California in general, like you really don't have to leave at all.
Nope.
Like
San Diego's right there. Palm Springs is right there. I mean, LA itself. Yeah.
All right. So stand by. We're about to go back on the air here. LCD sound system. All my friends. They're there. Radiohead in the middle. And at the top, TV on the radio, halfway home. So speaking of halfway home, we have about 5 minutes to the top of the hour, and then Amy Goodman is going to take over with Democracy Now! So today's episode of Desert Islands, I made a mixtape for Bijou Noir. The new single comes out Friday, yeah?
Yeah.
So if audiences like where can they hear it again? Are you on all streaming services? Are you Bandcamp only? Will this be everywhere or select places?
I'm everywhere, man. Find me on your preferred streaming service. It's Bijou Noir, and Bandcamp is great. You can listen to it. I actually do give it away for free on Bandcamp in exchange for the email address. So that's a great way to go off and get it, which is bijounoir.bandcamp.com.
And what we've been talking about streaming a while, but do you actually have any streaming events coming up that we can mention? Because this is a good place to do it. No worries if not. I just figure we have been talking about it for a while.
No, but keep an eye open. I am going to put some things up. I'll say that.
Perfect. So not only this, so what other projects, not just Bijou Noir, can audiences look for? Because you do a lot.
I do, yeah. So musically, besides Bijou Noir, I have a instrumental electronic group called Tulip Tiger, and I have a collaboration with my good friend who's in Kept. We are called Death Dance. Keep an eye open for something. There's things brewing there in the cauldron. I own a record label called Give Take, which focuses on kind of auteur-driven electronic artists. And I also have a podcast called Tied to the Tracks with KFAI's own Barb Abney.
Hey, great. Well, Gus, thank you for coming on the show. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time.
I know.
And it's awesome that it's just awesome to catch up and like I actually get this done in this weird kooky era of virtual land. But I love what's going on. When is the next single coming out? We have a June 11th, but is there one in July?
You know, there will be. The date's not quite set on that.
No
probably
worries.
the second Friday in July, but for now, just keep your eyes peeled for June 11th.
Perfect. Well, let's close things off with I had no idea Garbage is coming out with new music.
Whoa.
And right? So here's their new single. This is a tune called Wolves here on KFAI. Next week we have Orchid Eaton. Stay tuned for Democracy Now! Feel free to stay as long as you can. I do have to sign off at noon, but like you can hang out for the last 4 minutes if you want. This is not like everyone has to leave now. Like you can't, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Speaking of that, I gotta type Garbage in there. Yeah, I had no idea. This has been, I think the pandemic really affected everybody because like I'm seeing artists that is just like, whoa, Garbage is coming out with something. Gary Newman is coming out with a new record.
I've heard that record is great, by the way, the new Gary Newman.
It's pretty cool. I checked it out last night. I was gonna try to put a track on it in the playlist, but like There is a Gary Newman track, but it's from his live record. I just think the vibe didn't fit with the overall flow, but it's a cool record. It's like I hope I get to work the show when he comes to town, just because I would like to see what kind of rig he's touring with.
I would too.
You know, like what is like is he just gonna go stripped down and like gritty and gothic, or is he gonna have LEDs and like effects and like what's he bringing? You know,
Does he have a band?
He's had a band in the past, because like he released a few videos on his website that had a band, and then he did a whole live record with that band, and he kind of like the instruments are all live, like it's kind of like if Gary Newman had Nick Cave's band.
Yeah.
You know, like, so there is a synth player, but there's like a piano player too. And and it's really cool. Like he has like Our Friends Electric. He slows it down a little bit, makes it a little bit broodier, and it's just like, so like if he brought that band, I'd be thrilled, because like he rearranged all his old stuff for like a darker
cool,
more like a organic instrumental setting. But I would also I also think it would be cool like if it was just like him and two other people, like just, you know, like I just kind of want to see what he wants to do, because like I've always thought he had a cool mind, and like
yeah, totally,
just comes out with like really cool stuff, and I'm just surprised he's still at it. But yeah, no idea what he's doing.
All right. Yeah, really. I've got it on my queue to listen to this new record, because I've just heard nothing but rave reviews about it.
It's definitely worth your time.
Cool.
It's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, he's great.
All right, here we go. Sorry, I'm getting to that point where I'm like, oh no, I got to make sure Democracy Now! Plays, because a lot of people listen to that show. All right, hold on. Yes, there we go. All right, well, this is now that we got that on, this is where I have to sign off. But Gus, this was awesome. This was like so fun hanging. Like, seriously, keep me in the loop. I hopefully, now that I answered one of your emails, it'll stop going into my promotions folder. Or maybe I can just like star it so it doesn't like do that anymore. But yeah, please let me know when you're coming out with more stuff. I'd love to catch up sooner rather than later. But yeah, good to see you. And
yeah, you too, man. Awesome.
Yeah, stay safe out there. I'm gonna end the stream, and yeah, hope to see you in person. But I also get that you are not in the same time zone as me.
That's true. Hopefully this summer though.
Yeah. All right.